Hey guys, so today's video is on assignment 3. It's going to be located on the quizzes and assignments tab on Blackboard. And the recommended due date, before we get into it, the recommended due date, I pushed it back a couple of dates. So it's going to be due on April 27th, 2020 instead of the original due date, which was April 24th, right? The topic for this assignment is going to be the simple and compound unit conversions, right? I sent you guys a video on that. That's also going to be the topic for this week's quiz. I will send out an email about that. Again, as a reminder, remember you guys should know what day your quiz is going to be. I sent you guys emails last week about it. I'll send another video. I'll send out another email reminding you guys about that. So let's get started on what I expect from this assignment. So when we open this table, right, first thing I see is the states, right? So up until now, I had you guys copy and paste tables from Word doc to Excel. I believe that you guys already are good at that. So instead, this time I'm just going to give you the Excel sheet, right, and expect you to fill it out, right? So let's read all these headers, right? So the first column represents states. I have 20 states for you from Alabama to Wisconsin, their population, right, of each state. Then I give you a section for land area and a section for population density. Now, each one of these has only one column that's filled in, right? So for land area, I only give you the land area in square miles, right? Square miles being the unit, right? So the land area of Alabama is 50,645. The population is right here, it's indicated, right? What is this? 4,858,979 people live in Alabama in the area of 50,645 square miles. What I want you guys to do, right, is fill in what this would be in square kilometers, right? We'll go over a little bit later. We're going to go over how this unit conversion goes from square miles to square kilometers, right? Remember, these are just the units. So I want you to calculate from square miles for square into square kilometers for Alabama, Arizona. I want you to do it for all the way down to Wisconsin, right? So fill in this column first. Next, I want you to calculate the population density in the units people per square kilometers, right? I already give you people per square miles because I know you guys already know how to calculate population density, right? It would be the population divided by the area. That gives you the population density. So for Alabama, it's 96 people per square mile. So for every unit of square mile, there's 96 people living there in Alabama, right? Now, how would you convert that from people per square mile to people per square kilometer, right? How would you calculate that, right? Again, I'll show you one example, right, on paper, and then I want you guys to translate that on Excel, right? And you would do that for all 20 states that are given right here, right? And you guys should know that you shouldn't be doing this one by one. There's a way, and you guys should know that how to do them all together after you do the first one, right? After you fill in the square kilometer land area and the people per square kilometer population density, I want you to rank each state, right? From highest to lowest, right? So right here, we're going to rank them by their land area, right? So there's two sets of ranking. There's a ranking in terms of the square miles, and then there's a ranking in terms of the square, oops, this should be square kilometers, right? So I'll send out an updated one to you guys. Um, so ranking according to the square miles and ranking according to the square kilometers, right? So if we did the ranking, let's go over the first one. So if we look, the state that has the highest land area in the square miles unit, right, is in this table, Texas, right? Texas would be number one, right? Then you would go to number two, then number three, number four, all the way up to 20, right? So that's how you would fill it in for the ranking for the square mile. Same thing for the square kilometers. Once you once you calculate all the square kilometers land area for these 20 states, I want you to rank them as well from highest, so the biggest land area is number 1, the smallest land area is number 20. Same thing for population density, right? Go for first find the ranking in people per square mile, right? From the most dense, so the biggest number as number 1 to the smallest number as number 20, and then rank from people per square mile from the most dense as number 1 to the least dense as number 20, right? That's how you would fill in this table. Make sure you write in your name, right? So I put name, you can write in your name right here. And also, when you save this, so save as, right, browse, I don't need 70 assignment 3 tables, right? So make sure you put your name, not my name, your name, right? I don't need 70 Professor Khan assignment 3s either, right? I have enough of my own documents. So make sure you put your name if you haven't done so already. Put your name, assignment table 3, and then save that, right? Same thing for the word part, right? Make sure you put your name in each file. Your name should be on the table right here, and it should be on the file name, right? Before you upload it. Now going back to the assignment, right? The Word document. The instructions that I went over are right here, right? So you're going to be, I gave you the population, land area, population density. Your objective is to, using this square miles, calculate the square kilometers for the land area. Using this people per square mile, calculate the population density per square mile, right? Then rank each state based on their land area in square miles, square, and then square kilometers, and then for the same thing for the population densities, right? The 2 units, right? Once you finish the table, I want you to answer these 4 questions. You should answer 1 to 2 full sentences, right? Now that you have, now that you know how to convert square miles to square kilometers, which is the bigger unit? How do you know this, right? So how do you know which is bigger, square miles or square kilometers? Refer to the data from the table as reference, right? How has the rank changed, right? If they changed once you converted the units, right? So comparing these two ranks, these set of ranks and these set of ranks, right? Are they different from one another or are they same? Same thing for the population density, right? These ranks and these ranks, right? Are they the same or are they different, right? So I want you to talk about that. If you were not given the population density, how would you calculate the population density, uh, people per square miles for each state, right? Well, if I did not give you this right here, right? How would you calculate the population density in people per square mile if I didn't give you people per square mile? How would you calculate it for people per square kilometer? Next, last question. How has your understanding of units improved through this assignment, right? What is the importance of units? For example, if you were comparing two states' population densities, PD, right? Does it matter if the units are consistent? So does it matter if you're talking about people per square mile versus people per square mile for both states? Or it doesn't really matter if one of them is people per square mile and the other one is people per um, square kilometers, right? Does units matter or not, right? How would you describe that, right? How would you describe the importance or lack of importance? What do you think, right? Again, put your name here, put the date here, save the file, put your name in the file name, right? Make sure you put your name in the file name, and then you guys know how to submit documents, right? Now let's go over miles to kilometers, right? How would we calculate that? Okay, so last time when we were talking about unit conversion, we ended up in this section right here. So let's make a little bit of space, right? So the unit conversion from miles to kilometers, right? Remember, km is kilometers. Now, how do we convert from miles to kilometers? So 1 mile is equal to about 1.61 kilometer. So you could write it in this way, or you could write it in the ratio form, which is 1 mile over 1.61 kilometers, right? So here's an example, right? Example. Let's say an area was 674 miles. right? Square miles, that was the area. Square miles, right? Now, square miles is different from miles to kilometers, right? Square miles, when you think of square miles is miles squared, right? That's what square miles is, right? Miles squared. So if you're doing miles squared, that essentially means you have two sets of miles, right? Think about it this way. Let's say you had an area, right? This was 2 miles by 2 miles, right? This would become 2 miles times 2 miles if you want to calculate the area, 4 miles, and the units come along with it, right? Which you have two sets of miles, so this becomes 4 miles squared. Another way of writing that is 4 square miles, right? So this 2 makes a big difference, right? So this 674 is essentially 674 miles squared, right? And we want to convert this into square kilometers, and just like square miles becomes miles to raised to the second power, this is going to become kilometers raised to the second power. Now, if I use this unit conversion right here, if I use this unit conversion, I want kilometers on the top, so 1.61 kilometers, and I want miles on the bottom because I want to get rid of the miles. But what happens, right? One of the miles are here, makes one of the miles disappear. We still have 1 mile left over because remember, this is essentially mile times miles, right? If I take out one of these miles, it's going to only get rid of one of them. It's not going to get rid of both of them. So what do I have to do? I have to do this process twice. So again, 1.61 kilometers over 1 mile, right? This gets rid of the second miles. So now both of the miles are gone. All you're left with is 1 kilometer, another kilometer. That gives us that. That's where we get two sets of kilometer units, right? That makes our square kilometers. So let's do that. 674, right? Not 0.674 times 1.61 times 1.61, right? Everything in the bottom is going to be 1 over here times 1 times 1, right? So it doesn't really matter. You're going to all equal 1 on the denominator. So 674 times 1.61 times 1. Gives us 1,747.0754 rounded to the nearest whole number, right? So since this is 0, it's not going to affect the 7, so you're going to get 1,747 square kilometers. So that's going to be our final answer, right? Same thing for population density, right? For population density, you're not changing the people unit, you're changing the square miles unit, right? So let's say this region, right, had a population density of 40 people per square mile, right? And this you need to convert it to something people per square kilometer, right? So again, you think about it, 40 people over 1 square mile, right? But here I would imagine writing it this way, right? Miles times miles, right? Because that's your unit, right? You have two sets of miles, right? Now this is going to be times something, and then you're going to times it again by your unit, and your final answer is going to become people per square kilometer. And this is good practice for the quiz as well, guys, right? So you want miles to cancel out, so you want mile on top, you want mile on top, and you want kilometers in the bottom, square kilometers, so you want 2 kilometers, so one for this and one for this ratio, one for this ratio. 1 mile equals 1.61 kilometer, 1 mile equals 1.61 kilometers, right? Let me erase this right here so you don't get confused. So your full equation becomes 40 times 1 times 1. 1, the denominator is going to be 1 times 1.61 times 1.61. All right, what happens to the miles? You have a mile on the top, you have a mile on the bottom. You have a mile on the top, you have a mile on the bottom. Miles disappear, all you're left with is square kilometers, right? 2 sets of kilometers. So 40 times 1 times 1 gives you 40, divided by 1 times 1.61 times 1.61, and that gives you 15.43. So this rounds to the nearest whole number, 15 people per square kilometer, right? So there's 40 people per square mile, there's 15 people per square kilometer. Now, how would you do this on Excel, right? So when you're when you're converting land area, right? Just to remind you guys, when you're doing land area, you have your starting miles, you want to convert to square kilometers, right? You have your 674 square miles, you want to convert to something square kilometers, right? You need to do the multiplication. So 674 times 161 times 161. So you do this twice, right? This is your starting, this is your square miles. You multiply by 161 twice. For population density, right? Since square kilometers is in the bottom, you want to do your starting population density divided by 1.61 divided by 1.61 twice, right? So let's say you had in your table, right? Let's say this is your table, right? This is your land area, right? And this is in square miles, right? And let's say this is your land area also, but this is in square kilometers, right? Let's say you had 674. In order to calculate this, it would be this, right? So it would be whatever this number is times 1.61 times 1.61. You would do this on Excel, right? You would do times 1.61 twice, right? For the population density, right? So for PD, you're given in people per square mile, and you have to turn it into people per square kilometer. Let's say you're given, make that a straight line. Let's say you're given 40 and you want to convert it to here, equal. Remember, on Excel you have to always put that equal sign, right? Without equal, it's not going to work as a function. Equal sign, this number right here divided by, right, now parentheses, 1.61 times 1.61, right? Why do we do it twice? Remember, this 40 is being divided by 1 times 1.61 times 1.61, but this one really doesn't matter, right? Because it's going to end up giving the same answer. So make sure you have 1.61 twice, right? So don't forget those parentheses, right? Equal this number, right? You could just click on it. Remember, you guys know how to do that on Excel. Click on it, divided by parentheses 1.61 times 1.61, and that gives you your people per square kilometer. Use that idea to fill in this column right here and this column right here, right? Then work on the ranks, right? You should be able to do it. Remember, equal, you know what to highlight, you know what to divide for land area and for population density, so make sure you're working on that. And remember, file save, put your name in the file name, right? Not my name. I have enough files with my name on them. Put your name on them and then upload them on Blackboard, right? Again, the recommended due date is April 27th. work on that, get it out the way. If you haven't finished assignment 1 and 2, make sure you work on that, submit them, get them out the way, right? Also discussions, I've opened up discussion 7. Discussion 7 is for this week 7 discussions for this week, right? Make sure you're doing those. Make sure you're doing those. Week 6, if you haven't done it, I'll leave it open for today, but today's the last day and then it will close. So make sure you're working on the discussions. That's your attendance. All right, guys. So keep me updated. Let me know how everything's going, and if you have any questions, just make sure you to reach out.